Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Boulanger. Up next, hot seat. It's EDC's turn. Do me a quick favor as we get started. Hit like. If it is your first time checking out the GM, hit subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So, guys, we right back at it. And you guys should have assumed by now, if you've been checking out the GM for any number of months, that if I put John Harbaugh on the hot seat, then I had to set EDC's seat on fire as well. You see, because these two guys are a pair. Okay, EDC and John Harbaugh are seemingly joined at the hip. They're kind of like a package deal. These guys are really good friends. From what I understand, they live very very close to one another, even as neighbors. And these guys even use the same kind of coach speak, meaning they don't really give you a whole lot, and nor should they. But you can even tell how they do interviews and things of that nature, that they interview very, very similar to one another. And so I have to put them together on this hot seat. Okay. If the Baltimore Ravens do not reach a minimum of an AFC championship, EDC must go. Now I'm gonna give you a few reasons why that is. The first reason EDC must go is because over the 5 years, he has been mostly a flop in team building through the draft. Okay. You see, I know that he's had 5 drafts. And when you look at all 5 drafts from 2019 through 2023, you can list a host of players who had good reputations, good names, things like that. But if you put those good reputations aside, what have those players actually done in this league? Okay. You see, we don't have one player that I can remember left on this team from the 2019 draft, including your first round pick. We'll come back to him in a minute. In the 2020 draft, other than Patrick Queen, who there's also been rumors that they will trade or let walk, right? Both those things seem possible, especially since he is a free agent at the end of this 2023 season with no contract in place. So, what guy will be left from the 2020 draft? Then you got the 2021 draft. You got Bateman and Odafe was first rounders, and a host of other, third and fourth, fifth rounders. But who of that group are we really saying is that guy? 2022 draft. Okay, Lindenbaum and Hamilton look like that might be like that. It looks like they maybe a couple of dudes for real. And then Zay looks like he may be the best player drafted in the EDC era. But are you telling me of at least 7 first rounders, right? Only 3 have possible long term chances at being successful in the league. I didn't include Patrick Queen because Patrick Queen may not be. If they have long term success in the league and they're not on the Ravens, it don't matter anyway. So I'm only looking at Linderbaum, Hamilton, and Zay. And Zay hasn't played his first real game in the NFL yet. So that really boils it down to 2, right? Out of over 50 draft picks, who, other than those 2 or 3, he hasn't really killed it in the draft. The Baltimore Ravens were really good at finding diamonds in the rough in the late rounds, fourth and fifth rounders, and things of that nature. But who? When you look at the guys on the team right now who are Pro Bowlers, who were drafted by the Ravens, not brought in, those guys who've been Pro Bowlers were all pre EDC. And I know you guys may be feeling like, man, you're not giving him a real chance. He's had 5 years. Well, 4 years and a draft. Okay. And I haven't seen yet where his drafting is going to be fundamental to the immediate success of the Baltimore Ravens. He's done an okay job going to bring in talent, guys like Marcus Peters and Roquan and Marcus Williams, through free agency. But drafting, he's done a poor job. Go check out my video where I pulled up all of the draft picks and showed them to you in a PowerPoint context. You'll be surprised how many draft picks we've had and they have not panned out. And I know that the draft is a crapshoot sometimes, but out of 50 players, three, that's not even 10% return on investment. Especially when EDC has been a guy who likes draft picks. Well, what do you like draft picks for if you ain't banging them out? There's been tons of guys drafted after the Baltimore Ravens picks per year who've done really well. Let me give you an example when it comes to draft. Uh, 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 Marquise Hollywood Brown, DK Metcalf was drafted after him. Jonathan Taylor was drafted after Patrick Queen. See, there's numerous guys. George Pickens, drafted after David Ajabo, who has more questions even now than answers. See, there's tons of guys who've been better than what the Ravens have selected. The Seattle Seahawks got a big time corner, long, speedy. I can't remember his name right now, but he had been on the board for round after round after round after round. The Baltimore Ravens never even thought about drafting him. And he was either he was definitely a 6 round pick or after. I can't think of his name, but if anybody know who I'm talking about, the long, lengthy, speedy corner that the Seattle Seahawks have, who is ascending, by all means, drop him in the comment section. But let me get to my second reason why EDC must go. He's failed to build an adequate team in a timely manner. You see, in the Lamar Jackson era, areas where we've been weak, we've continued to be weak. You see, nobody knew what Lamar Jackson was in 18, not really. But after 2019, somebody should have been sure of what Lamar Jackson was. But what did they do to give Lamar weapons at the wide receiver position in 2020, in 2021, in 2022? The Baltimore Ravens didn't really add weapons at the wide receiver position until 2023. And that's what has the Baltimore Ravens fan base a buzz. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about what we can do collectively. But are you telling me that there was not opportunity to add weapons for what would be your franchise quarterback? We saw AJ Brown get traded for. We saw Stephon Diggs get traded for. We saw DeAndre Hopkins get traded for back when he was in his prime. So we've seen big time wide receivers get acquired. Heck, we just saw the Chicago Bears go and get DJ Moore for their young quarterback. We saw the same Chicago Bears go and get Chase Claypool, a big wide receiver with some speed, some downfield ability, for the same guy, Justin Fields. I know you may be saying, Belanger, this is an old argument. He's done a lot better in 2023 with the wide receiver room. But yeah, it's 2023. But we've seen this same lackadaisical, inconsistent failure to build depth at needed positions in other spots as well. Let me give you another example. Cornerback. This is not even because Marlon Humphrey is hurt. Okay? It's not. But we've seen guys over the course of 3 or 4 years okay, that the Baltimore Ravens could have grabbed for depth. Case in point, James Bradbury, a guy that the New York Giants let go, put on the street, and he locked down the other side of the field for the Philadelphia Eagles and helped them get to a Super Bowl this past year. He was available. You telling me you can't use a 6 foot 6'1" corner who has shown incredible ability to be a cover guy? There's plenty of tape where he's been locking down, or he was locking down Julio Jones in his prime. There's plenty of tape where he was locking up Mike Evans in his prime. Plenty of tape where he was locking up Michael Thomas in his prime. Plenty of tape out there, but you couldn't get him. Darius Slay, yeah, the same Darius Slay that the Baltimore Ravens tried to go get when they thought he was a free agent this year. He was available for trade a couple of years back before which is how the Philadelphia Eagles grabbed him in a trade. You're saying we couldn't have got in on that a couple of years ago? I don't care that we had Marcus Peters. At some point, the Marcus Peters run was going to come to an end, such as now. I'm talking about the building of depth. You see, Marcus Peters was out for the entire 2021 season and then wasn't regular, meaning it wasn't his regular self in 2022. No knock to him. He was coming back over a knee injury, severe knee injury. But that was a point in time where we could have went and got depth and didn't. We seen him go get Roquan, and I'm glad we got Roquan. We seen him go get Roquan and then make him the highest paid linebacker in the league, but left other positions bare. We just saw Jeff Okuda, who was a top 5 pick a couple of years ago, leave Detroit and go to the Atlanta Falcons. That means he was available. Now, as I'm filming this, he could go make a trade for a cornerback right now. But I'm still holding him accountable for what has already happened and the reason we're thin in some places. Stephon Gilmore is on his third team in as many seasons. We couldn't have used Stephon Gilmore. You think Stephon Gilmore wouldn't have been okay with coming to join the Baltimore Ravens? I certainly think he would have been. When he left the New England Patriots, he left for a third round pick. We couldn't have got in on that. We couldn't have got in on a third round for Stephon Gilmore. Yeah, he's not the same guy he was when he won defensive MVP, but that still would have been more quality depth. Jalen Ramsey just got traded, I think, for a fifth round pick. That's his second time getting traded. We couldn't have got in on any of those trades for a top flight corner. Yeah, I know they had already paid Marlon Humphrey, which was probably an overpay, but I'm just talking about depth. I'm just giving examples. I'm giving examples of good corners who moved. And I don't think we made a play for any of them. And now when Marlon Humphrey goes down, we're looking at Ronald Darby and Rock Ya-Sin, which I pushed for Rock Ya-Sin all offseason. I think he's a quality guy. But let's not just stop at the wide receiver and cornerback positions. Let's also look at EDC's building or lack thereof of the outside linebacker position. The outside linebacker position is a position that the Baltimore Ravens have been looking for about 5 years ish to fill the gap, the void left by Terrell Suggs. And there has been numerous times where the Baltimore Ravens have had a guy already in house. May not have been Terrell Suggs, not many people are, let's just be honest. But adequate depth, adequate pieces who were proven to be edge rushers, proven to get to the quarterback, proven to produce sacks. Case in point, Zadarius Smith, the guy who should have stayed with the Baltimore Ravens if they had have gave him the contract. Yes, the same Zadarius Smith they tried to go get and bring him back last year, which says if he had value to them last offseason, he should have had value before they let him go. And now we're still searching for that dominant edge rusher. Another guy, um, Matt Judon, a guy they stole, you know, in the fifth round. a guy who was a quality edge rush, was good against the run, could get to the quarterback. Maybe he didn't rack up 10, 12, 15 sacks a year, but he was a really good, solid piece. And they played with his money, franchise tagged him, and then let him go, and he became a Pro Bowler for the New England Patriots. Two guys who could be in-house right now, one of two, rather, who could be in-house right now to add to this young, talented, um, but waiting, young, talented, but in waiting roster. Odafe is still growing and developing. We don't know what he'll become. Ajabo hasn't even broken ice yet in the league, so we don't know what he'll become. Tavius Robinson has some talent, but hasn't even really broke bread in the NFL at all. So then we had to go get Jadeveon Clowney, which I'm not knocking Jadeveon Clowney. I'm just saying we already had those guys. This is on EDC's watch. Now we're wondering, what are we going to do at the edge rush position? It is a position where we have been lacking talent for a number of years. A lot of swings and misses as it pertains to the draft, but we certainly had guys already on the roster that we could have retained and kept, and we wouldn't be asking, well, who's going to be that number one pass rusher? Is Odafe going to get it together? Is Ojabo going to break out? You see, people came into this season hearing Odafe's offseason workout and having some hope. And people came into this season saying, oh, man, if Ojabo get healthy, man, he'll be that edge rusher. But we didn't see that in the preseason. And it's not EDC's fault that the players don't produce, but these are EDC decisions. And it's either time for the checks he's been writing to pay off, or it's time for him to go. The Baltimore Ravens cannot stomach another year where we don't meet a level of expectation for the talent we have on this roster. And if these positions, outside linebacker, cornerback, if these positions don't show growth, development, and productivity, it may end up costing the Baltimore Ravens, but it should end up costing EDC his position. I'm your guy Boulanger. Let me know what you want me to know. I'm out.